Welcome to the Guiltless Gourmets. Nancy and Lee here, and we want to tell you a little bit about this first episode so you can follow along with us for the rest of them.
So the title of this episode is called Live to Eat, and
Yay!
I think that is definitely how we distinguish ourselves. We are not people that just eat to live. I think that eating and food is kind of what keeps us going in our day-to-day life, and is certainly our true passion.
Yep.
And how we ended up coming together, working together.
Cheers, Lee.
Oh yeah, cheers to that, because live to eat. I would say that I had a bit of a midlife crisis when I was about 38 years old, and I went to culinary school because it was something that I was losing sleep over at night. I always loved to cook, and I kind of just wanted to know, could I do this? And it was a challenge, and when I get a challenge in my head, I have to go for it. So I did. I was one of the oldest people in my class, and actually met another person who was old too. We kind of bonded, our friend Sue.
That sounds very young to me right now.
So I know, to only be 38 again, right?
Yeah.
So I met Sue, who was a friend of Nancy's, and luckily for me, Sue had already found another job and referred Nancy to me. So I had an interview with Nancy, and she took a chance on someone with absolutely zero experience other than just wanting to learn and wanted to see what she could do at that juncture in my life. So that's kind of how we ended up together, and we worked together for 5 years at the Cancer Wellness Center. So I went from doing classical French cuisine, drowning in butter and sugar and cheese and sauces, to learning a whole new way of cooking, which was friendly to cancer patients, and just learned a whole new set of skills, which has served me to this day, because now, for the past 6 years, I have been running my own personal chef business where I cater to families who have allergies and all different kind of dietary needs. So I have not really taken my classic French technique. I'm not really doing that anymore, but definitely moved towards the healthy cooking. And
you know, Lee, though, don't you think that those skills, though, I can still see that you have skills in the kitchen that you take from that classic French education?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's the foundation for everything, and if I had not done that, I wouldn't have had the courage to probably just go out and start cooking professionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I always thank you for giving me a chance to mentor me. It's been great, and you know, let me let you tell a little about yourself now.
So, like Lee, I had a midlife crisis. I was teaching pharmaceutical reps how to call on doctors, and I got really tired of it. So I knew I could cook. I'd always had my foot in the culinary world, and I knew I could teach adults. So I kind of combined that, and I schlepped onions and chopped for 4 years, OJT, before someone let me teach adults how to cook, and I haven't looked back since then. So it started to get really overwhelming for me, and so I was looking for someone to help me out, and of course Lee was my savior, yay! And the thing that I really remember about Lee is that she could actually cook. Because a lot of people that come out of culinary school, you think, oh, they can cook. Well, they have made aspic, jellied aspic once. The first year they were in school, or something along those lines, cooked a whole ham or something, but they don't really know how to cook. And Lee could cook, so that was really exciting. So we had 5 years of adventures, everything, and we'll tell you more about this as we go through our show, but everything from teaching in the bowels of the market of bus stations all over the city of Atlanta, to teaching at Rancho La Porta. We did great trips together, and just so much fun. So I loved having Lee, and after the pandemic, when everything had shut down, we kind of reconnected again. I had been doing a lot of TV and a lot of other things like that, but I really missed having Lee and having somebody just to talk to about really good food, and not particularly food that was keto or paleo or gluten-free or anything else, just food that was from scratch and that was beautiful. And so Lee and I have that in common.
Yeah, and I think what kind of sparked this whole idea for this show is that we went out and we sat and fawned and drooled over a baguette, some really good butter, and some raspberry jam. And we also realized, and then kind of jokingly we realized, how many people have we offended with this? You know, we're the gluten-free people and the vegans, there's too much sugar, you know, everything is wrong with this. And I think just the way the whole world is very divisive now.
And isolated, kind of like.
And you have to be 100% for this or 100% for that. And we just kind of harken back to when we started, there wasn't so much divisiveness in the world or in food. And we just like to go out to lunch and talk about food and talk about wine. And I think that's kind of what, you know, birthed this, if you will, birthed the idea for this show, is that we want it to be a place of respite, a place of fun, a place of no judgment, and
lots of tips and tricks and techniques that we have learned as professional chefs that can actually apply to home cooks as well, because none of us have a lot of time, whether we cook for a living or drink for a living or what, right?
Yes.
So we want to share some of the things we've learned because I think they're really valuable and I think people will enjoy that.
And I do, and I think sitting around at the table with your friends, with your family, that is maybe where we've gone astray in the world these days. There's too much fast food delivery, and even if you do get your fast food delivery, put it on a plate and sit down at the table and pour yourself a nice drink to go with it.
Yep.
You know, I think even when we were working 2 or 3 events a day, I think we'd always sit down and make a big salad and at least take 30 minutes or 10 out of the day to just sit and decompress, recompose ourselves, and so we could start new. Because if you're tired and exhausted and you're not feeding yourself well, it shows in the rest of your life, I think.
Even in your food, I think.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Cheers to that too. Cheers.
All right, so what are we drinking here, Nancy? Because wine is obviously very important, and you have to have wine and food together.
Yes.
I think that's another thing that we as Americans don't do enough. We just kind of drink without having something to eat with. And I remember you said, and I experienced when I went to France, that they'll even just serve a little tiny bowl of potato chips with your wine.
Yep.
And every food enhances the flavor and the taste of your wine. And I still have a lot to learn from wine. I know that this is not Boone's Farm, and I've come a long way since I was drinking
We've
Boone's
had some
Farm
good
out of
wine
solo
together.
cups. But
Yep.
wine is also very overwhelming, I think, to people.
I think so too.
I
Oh my
always
gosh.
appreciate your knowledge, because it still kind of goes in one ear and out the other for me. So tell us what we're drinking.
So Lee, I love translating the world of wine to normal people, right? So this is what we're going to do in Guiltless Gourmets, because my specialty, and you know this, is that I love wines for $20, $25 a bottle, because if we had all the money in the world, we could absolutely have this fabulous cellar and drink Burgundy every night, but we don't. And not many people do. So we're going to specialize in this show on wines that are affordable and wines that are yummy and wines that are a little different, right?
Yeah, and I feel like that also not being intimidating for people who don't know anything, but also they think if you have to spend a lot of money on good wine. And I do see a lot of people spending a lot of money on wine, but they drink the same wine over and over again. They get stuck on one brand, one varietal.
Exactly.
But because it's expensive, it's maybe a status symbol or something like that. And there are so many good wines that you can drink just and enjoy under that $25 mark. And
really enjoy it. But here's the secret. You have to taste your wine, Lee. You cannot just drink it and say, oh, this is good. You have to taste it, and it doesn't take long to figure this out, but you really need to taste before you just drink, and then you'll learn, because not everybody likes all different kinds of wine, and I'll probably have some of these on the show, some wines on the show that you're like, it's not that great.
And you should not feel bad if you don't like a certain wine, because our palates are all different, and that shows in food and
wine.
So,
sure.
yeah.
We don't like all foods and we don't like all wines.
It's kind of like the people who are not cilantro eaters, and we have a mutual friend that
doesn't like cilantro, and it just kills us.
Because that's something that you need to eat on everything. But
yes.
Anyway.
All
right, so tell us what we're drinking.
Okay, so I decided to do rosé because you have strawberries, and look at the color of this rosé, Lee.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it gorgeous? Okay, so to look at the color of the wine, I'm going to give you this white plate so we can taste like professionals, and then I'll tell you about the wine as we go through. So you always want to look at the color of the wine tipped against a white background, because if you hold your wine glass up to the stone and I hold it up to the green or the black, we're not going to have the same perspective. So what color would you call this?
I call it a light dusty rose.
Okay,
maybe.
good. I call it salmon or copper. And here's the fun thing about rosé: there are no like real specific words that you have to use to call.
It's not pencil shavings.
Yeah, well, yeah. So rosé is a lot more fun. So let's go ahead and swirl and smell this. And you can swirl, on, or you can swirl up here. Okay, but don't get too enthusiastic. All right, let's taste it. Okay, don't judge it yet. You should never judge on your first sip of wine, okay? Because you're just getting your mouth used to wine, even though we did have a little sparkler earlier to warm up. Let's go ahead and taste it again. This time I want you to do it on either side of the back of your tongue. If your mouth is watering. Is your mouth watering?
Oh yeah, because it's good.
Yeah. Okay, so that's acidity, and acidity is three things, Lee. Acidity helps hold fruit flavors over time. Acidity balances the wine. If it doesn't have any acidity or good acidity, we call it flat or flabby. Really, truly, that's a wine word.
We're not talking about flabby around here.
And then third of all, it helps the wine go really well with food. So acid in wine, it helps it go really well with food. And Pinot Noir goes really well with food because it's got nice acidity. And this one, I just got back from the Finger Lakes on Saturday, Finger Lakes, New York, closer to Canada than it is to New York City. This is a rosé, a Pinot Noir from a really cool winery there, Lee. You would have loved it. This couple went on their honeymoon and they came home and the husband said, "We're going to be winemakers," and she was like, "Yeah,
I want a divorce."
So they moved to upstate New York. He did a lot of winemaking. In fact, he still does winemaking for somebody else. But they started their own winery, and it's so cute, and they are adorable, and their wine is really good. So that's why I wanted to share that with you, because I just got home.
I think that's the other thing that people think is very intimidating about wine, is that it's a very snooty pastime, and it can be.
Yeah.
But when you actually go and visit the people that make it, they're just farmers, and
They
they're putting their heart and soul into something that they're passionate about, and all they want to do is share their product with you.
Exactly.
And it's not intimidating. And I think if you go for a wine experience and it is intimidating, you're
Don't
going
go back.
Yeah, you're going to the wrong place. So
yeah, exactly, perfectly. Yep, you got it.
So.
Okay, so what are we going to taste with our wine?
So today, this has been kind of my salad du jour, if you will. I made this at Easter time because I thought it would go really nice with the ham. So it's just spring greens, and because strawberries and asparagus are in season, we've done some just sliced beautiful, beautiful strawberries.
So gorgeous.
And some blanched asparagus, a little blue cheese crumble. You can leave the blue cheese off if you don't eat cheese.
But why would you?
I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. So
you could use goat cheese if you
goat cheese. Yeah. I think feta even would work. So that would be fine. And so the asparagus, you can see the beautiful green colors that we have because it's blanched. And I think that you can see the difference. Here's the asparagus in its natural state. And blanching is boiling something in water, salted water, for just a minute or two. And any green vegetable, it seals in the color and it keeps it looking beautiful.
And it is
gives
beautiful.
it a little, it's not as woody and hard as it would be if you did it raw. And it keeps it looking nice and easy to eat. And then the pecans, I mean, we're in Georgia, so we have to have pecans,
of course we do,
on everything. And all I did is take a small container of pecans. I put a quarter of a cup of sugar. I use just white sugar. You could use coconut sugar, or honey probably if you wanted to, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. And you
Yay!
just do not walk away from the nuts. They will go from not cooked to burnt very quickly. So do not walk away from the nuts.
So did you put them in a saute pan?
I did it in
Okay.
a saute pan. You want to keep them nice and flat, and separated, and just keep stirring with just a spatula the whole time until the sugar melts. Dump them out on a parchment paper, and you have the nuts by themselves would be great just as a
Oh yes, I know that because I was up there
we ate
stitching
half
them.
of them now. So yeah, so that's what we've got there. So
So Lee, I got to ask you this question. So do you remember where else we used strawberries and asparagus?
well, I do. I didn't until you so graciously reminded me. But we did a cooking class, or I guess a competition against each other, and we each were assigned a doctor. The name of my doctor escapes me, but we had two cute doctors who were breast surgeons, I guess, at the Cancer Wellness Center, and we each had a doctor, and we each had to come up with our own recipe. And I believe that I made a strawberry and asparagus bruschetta. So I guess strawberries and asparagus go really well together. I think it was a salsa I made out of strawberries and asparagus.
You did.
And I think you made...
I made a salad. Probably very reminiscent.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how bad are these ingredients together? They're not. They're fabulous. And so I did a strawberry asparagus salad, and you know, I don't even remember. I don't think we ever won. I don't think either one of us ever won, but the people in the audience got to eat them both.
Yeah, so they're the ones that won because they got to watch us up there with these cute doctors, and they got to savor our wares. So yeah. Lots of fun.
Every time I see those two ingredients, I think about that. That was a lot of fun. That was a long time ago. Okay, so talk to us about what you bought, your market basket, what you got here, and anything else you made.
So I obviously bought the strawberries today, and they've been looking really nice in the market. I think we're kind of getting into the peak strawberry season. I did not go up to a farm and pick them because unfortunately I don't have time for that, but that's a fun family activity.
It is, and there's so many places around Atlanta that you can do that.
So one day I would like to actually do that. Probably when I'm retired I'll get a chance to go do the strawberry picking, but I think they're so beautiful. And if I'm being honest, I'm not a huge fruit eater. So I probably would never just eat the strawberries by themselves, but I love the sweetness that it gives in a more savory kind of dish like this. So this is usually where I will use strawberries or any kind of berry, is in something like this, because I love the saltiness of the blue cheese and the nuts, and the strawberries just kind of give it an extra bite. And I usually serve this with the balsamic vinaigrette, and that it just all plays really well together, and it's something that you can get really excited about, and it's beautiful on your table. So
I love strawberries too, with vanilla ice cream and really good balsamic.
Oh yeah, the good thick one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's good.
So talk to us about the asparagus.
So asparagus is also in season, and funny enough, I always think that your phone and the big brother is watching you at all times, and I was talking about asparagus, and then last night when I was getting ready for bed, I was on Instagram, and there was a TikTok or a video of how to pick asparagus. And I can honestly say I wasn't even sure how asparagus grew, but it just grows straight up from the dirt. And I learned how to break it off and know when is the right time to pick it. So, no matter how long you've been cooking or using ingredients,
always learn something, right?
There's always something new you can learn. So that's what I learned yesterday. Thank you, Big Brother, for listening to me talking about asparagus and showing me a video.
So, but besides blanching, how else can you cook it?
So roasting is probably one of my favorite ways to do it. I probably wouldn't roast it for the salad because it does tend to get a little soggier, and if you're making this in advance, the blanching, it really holds up better. But I love some roasted asparagus. Just put it on a sheet pan, make sure they're flat, don't pile them up. being flat is very important. Olive oil, salt and pepper, 400-ish degrees, and I love to finish it off with the kind of thick balsamic vinegar that you're talking about. Just makes a nice
like
drizzle.
A glaze.
Yeah, it looks really nice. And asparagus is also great if you blanch it. It's a great, interesting thing to put on a crudité platter. Most people just do carrots and cucumbers and whatever, but if you blanch some asparagus, it still keeps its form. Easy to dip, really pretty, looks great on a platter. So that's another one of my favorite ways to use it, and kind of unexpected, I think. So.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. So look at this. I have been so impressed by the beautiful,
gorgeous
lettuce. So I was in France. I was lucky enough to be in France in February, and so I had a lot of this kind of lovely frisée lettuce, but I found this in the regular grocery store. I mean, you could get married and use this as a bouquet.
It looks like a bouquet.
So this was my market basket for the week, my pick, because there's so many beautiful lettuces out there. So many of the lettuces, like the radicchios and the frisées, and all of them are like just everywhere in the market.
That would be great just in a salad like that.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Gorgeous. So buy more lettuce, people.
And also, I think we've gotten very conditioned to buying the lettuce in the bag or the box because it's just easier. But you can definitely tell a difference when you buy a whole head and wash it and put it in that little
salad spinner. Everybody needs a salad spinner. I don't care who you are, you need a salad spinner.
Absolutely. I have one that I've had.
You need a salad spinner.
Everyone needs a salad spinner. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the Oxo brand is my favorite because it's got the instead of the this or that string. The string breaks people. Don't buy the string.
Don't buy the string.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, no, absolutely. Get a salad spinner. Buy some real lettuce that's not in a bag.
So, Lee, we've talked about our food. We've talked about our wine. Okay.
We've talked about us, most importantly.
Yes. And so we're going to have on every single show, we're going to talk a market basket, we're going to talk a recipe, we're going to talk a wine, but we're also going to do something fun. We've got so many fun friends. And so we're going to do something with our friends. We're going to introduce them to you, and we're going to do something called potluck. Love that name, Lee.
Absolutely.
I love it. So in order to show y'all what potluck is, I'm going to potluck Lee.
And it's not going to be a soggy casserole.
Yes.
That's not what kind of potluck
That's right. So, so what we're going to do is I'm going to ask Lee 5 questions. She has 60 seconds or less, and it's an either-or question, and she cannot say, oh, I can't answer that, or oh, I want both. Yes?
Okay. Let me get...
Drink that wine, because are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so, ready?
Yes.
Olive oil or butter?
Olive oil.
I can't believe that. With your French training, my dear?
Got a little lactose intolerance.
Okay. All right. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Really?
You told me to answer honestly.
Okay, here's one. Here's a good one. Because we live in the South and we love Southern food, however, biscuits or croissants.
Croissants.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Almond ones.
Almond ones?
Yeah.
Oh, remember those ones we got in New York by that?
Yes.
So good. I think they were even better than the ones in France. So, okay. So far you've got olive oil.
Olive oil, chocolate,
croissants. Okay. All right. So here's a good one. We both love sausage and cured meats and things like that, and we find no reason to not eat them every once in a while, right? Because we are guiltless gourmets, right? So we don't.
So good.
I know. So we don't want to eat them all the time. But yay. When we're somewhere and they have fabulous sausage, we're sausaging.
Absolutely.
Okay. So andouille or chorizo?
Okay, well, it depends on what kind of chorizo you're talking about.
You got one or the other, girlfriend.
I'll go andouille.
Okay. Can I ask you why?
Well, because I lived in New Orleans for a long time, and I just have a little sentimental feeling for that. But if you let me pick Spanish or Mexican, I'd pick Spanish chorizo.
Yeah, yeah, I like the Spanish too. I
Yeah.
don't like the mushy musk.
So there we go. Those are my answers.
Okay.
My answer.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Yep.
One last one. Oysters or scallops?
Oysters all day long.
Yeah. How do you like your oysters?
I just like them raw.
Yeah, me
No
too.
mignonette. I don't like mignonette. I just like a little. I either like them plain, a little lemon, little hot sauce, and you know I learned the last a couple times ago I was in New Orleans at the Acme bar.
The Acme oyster bar, yeah.
And the guy, we sat at the bar and he put a little hot sauce and a sprinkle of salt on top of the oyster, which I'd never had before. Amazing. It was life changing. It was so good. And and I'm not opposed to eating a saltine cracker with it either, because you gotta have that messy pile of saltine
nastiness,
stuff on the side. So yeah.
No horseradish?
Yeah, I could do horseradish, but I could live without it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, gotta have
But
the horseradish.
I do like that.
Yeah.
I do like that too.
When I was in New York last week, I went to a distillery and they had horseradish vodka.
Oh, I bet that would make a great
Bloody Mary. That's all I could think of. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm gonna infuse some horseradish. We'll have Bloody Marys on one of these, just because remember, my certification is wine and spirits.
Awesome. Okay.
Although spirits not as much, but wine, yes.
Okay, I like that.
Okay. So that's our potluck. So that's what we're gonna do every single time. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, I can't wait to interview some of our friends, because all of our friends, I think, they've all had kind of midlife crises too. I think we all came together being friends because of food, and despite our various different corporate backgrounds that we've all had. So it'll be fun to see what people think.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree, but now I'm ready for some
all right,
salad.
let's do it.
You want to give us some salad? We'll taste it with our wine, and don't forget that this is an ongoing show, right? So we're going to be back next week with a destination dinner show.
Absolutely.
I cannot wait for that.
What is better than traveling and eating and learning something new and bringing it back home and recreating it? Because I just did that last week, and I've already made a salad from a restaurant that I went
in New
to
York. I can't wait to hear about it. Okay,
anyway.
I'm not going to eat. Well, I'm talking, but we'll see you on the next episode of
The Guiltless Gourmets.
Cheers. Cheers.
No need to take notes, because all of the information you'll need from this episode you can find down below.